A toe ring proposal in a prison parking lot while hiding $200,000 in an insurance settlement. You are sitting there thinking, that has to be the peak of human delusion, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking, like, surely it cannot get worse than a middle-aged man presenting a literal piece of foot jewelry as a lifelong commitment while actively lying about $250,000.
And yet.
Right. That is not even the messiest, most chaotic part of what we are unpacking today.
It is not even in the top 3 most unhinged moments. I mean, when a man rolling up to a penitentiary release wearing a full-length fur coat and carrying a brand new pair of pantyhose isn't the most alarming thing you've seen all week, you know we are in deep. You know we have crossed the Rubicon into, like, absolute unfiltered lunacy.
Babes, welcome back. We love you. We see you. And honestly, if there's one thing this show continues to prove week after week, it is that sometimes the most terrifying, glowing red flag a human being can wave in your face is when they look you dead in the eye, hold your hands, and say, no, trust me, it's different this time.
It is literally never different. It is the exact same red flag. It is just painted a slightly different shade of neon warning sign. It's like they think if they just rebrand the red flag, you won't notice it's still on fire.
Exactly. And you, our favorite member of the Snark Squad, sitting right here with us, you know exactly what we are talking about. But before we even get into anything, I need you to know that we have our prison-themed mocktails on deck today.
Oh, yes, we do.
We are keeping it strictly legal, babes, because the sheer emotional preparation required to process these relationships demands a beverage. I am sipping on a conjugal visit cranberry spritz right now. Heavy on the lime.
Sounds amazing. And I've got the halfway house highball with, like, extra ice because we need to actively lower our core body temperatures before we tackle the sheer audacity of this cast in this week's drop. But wait, before we even get into the psychology of why these people are doing this to themselves, we have to deliver the mandatory most important thank you to the real heroes of this ecosystem.
Oh, without a doubt. We have to thank the YouTube sailors.
The absolute heroes.
Our absolute, undisputed heroes. Babes, we see you, we appreciate you, and you're honestly the only reason this Snark Squad is thriving right now.
Seriously, you know how it is. This doesn't technically air on the network until Friday night, but our YouTube sailors, they somehow possess this sixth sense.
They really do.
They just know what the fandom needs on a random Thursday afternoon. It's like they feel a disturbance in the reality TV force. They look out at the horizon and they say, the people need to see a man get yelled at during a tea party right now. We must provide.
It is the best kind of chaos. Like, you know, the absolute panic of group texting the Snark Squad the second that drop hits. You're at work, you're sitting in a Zoom meeting, you're running errands at Target, and suddenly your phone lights up with the group chat going, ITSUP, GNOW.
Yes.
And you're just trying to avoid spoilers on Twitter while simultaneously sprinting to your nearest screen, pretending you suddenly have a very important, urgent matter to attend to.
And the thumbnails. Oh my gosh, the thumbnails alone send me into a psychological spiral before I even hit play. It is a public service, truly. So cheers, raise your mocktails, raise your coffees, raise whatever you have to the sailors for keeping this community fed and our sanity intact. We love you.
Cheers, babes. Okay, we have a ton to unpack this week, but you know how we do it. Before we get to the inmates and their incredibly questionable life choices, we need to open the Life Update hotline.
Ring.
Because honestly, spending this much time analyzing other people's messy relationships makes me completely hyperanalyze every tiny interaction in my own life.
Oh, I live for this. What incredibly minor, completely insignificant inconvenience has sent you into a full-blown reality TV spiral this week?
Okay, you are going to judge me, but I know you've been here.
I will judge you, but proceed.
Fair. So I had this completely random tiny thing happen. I sent a text to someone, just a regular upbeat, hey, can't wait to see you later kind of text. High energy, good vibes. And they responded an hour later with just...
Wait, don't tell me.
Yep. Just the letter K.
Oh no. Not the dreaded single letter, the absolute weaponization of the alphabet.
Right. And normally, the rational part of my brain knows. Like, okay, whatever, they're busy, they're driving, they're at work. But because my brain is currently rewired by reality TV drama, I instantly spiral.
Of course you did.
I felt like it was a massive calculated betrayal. I was sitting on my couch analyzing this K like it was a secret code meant to decipher my downfall.
Was it a lowercase k or a capital K? Because that matters.
It was capital.
Oh, brutal. That's aggressive.
Exactly. Like, what is the subtext of the K? Are they plotting against me?
Yeah?
Is this my villain origin story? Are they hiding a second family? Do I need to buy a spy car to follow them around town?
You were ready to go full tactical espionage. You were ready to pull up with your cousins and throw a drink over a single K.
I was. I literally had to sit myself down, look in the mirror, and say, you are not on a reality show.
Yeah.
This is not a confessional. Lower your heart rate. But it felt so intensely dramatic in the moment. The projection is real. What about you?
Yeah.
Tell me you had a moment this week where you caught yourself being absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, mine is actually perfect for this week's theme of violently ignoring red flags.
Mhm.
So I was at Target, because of course I was. It's where my soul goes to heal. And I witnessed an entire public drama unfold between this couple in the home goods aisle.
Oh, the home goods aisle is an absolute pressure cooker for fragile relationships.
Yeah.
It forces you to confront your incompatible visions for the future. What were they fighting about?
Throw pillows.
No.
Literally throw pillows. But it wasn't about the throw pillows, you know? It never is. She was holding this textured mustard pillow, and she says, "You never let me pick anything for the apartment."
Oh, wow.
And he looks at her, completely deadpan, and goes, "Well, if you picked things that actually matched my aesthetic, maybe I would."
Oh my gosh. Red flag. Sirens blaring.
Get
That is
that.
deeply concerning language.
Right. And I am just standing there pretending to read the warning label on a generic brand candle, just analyzing their entire psychological dynamic.
You were taking mental notes.
Oh, a full dissertation. I wanted to tap her on the shoulder and say, "Babe, put the mustard pillow down. It's not about the decor. This man is a deflector and a controller. He doesn't want a partner. He wants a prop for his aesthetic. You need to pull up on him with your manager." I was diagnosing their entire 5-year relationship based on a velvet cushion.
But this is the profound realization we all come to, right? Like we're all secretly the main characters of our own messy reality shows.
Really?
We are all living out these completely dramatic, high-stakes storylines in our heads over texts and Target runs. We are all just one bad day away from needing our own confessional camera in the living room.
The only difference is, thankfully, our messy moments don't involve picking someone up from a maximum security penitentiary, wearing a fur coat, and carrying a heart-shaped box of chocolates while hiding $250,000.
Sure.
The stakes are slightly lower.
Speak for yourself. I might break out a fur coat for the grocery store this winter, just to feel something. But you're right, our stakes are lower. Which brings us to a little thought experiment, because you know you watch this show and just scream advice at the television. So let's pretend we were actually hired by the network to be the official relationship counselors for these couples.
Oh, I would be fired immediately.
Same.
The network would fire me on day one because I would just look at them, sigh heavily, and say, "Absolutely not. Pack your bags, block their number, and go home."
Okay, but pretend you had to do the job. We sit them down in those uncomfortable office chairs with the bad fluorescent lighting. Before they completely ruin their lives, what is the very first baseline question you're asking every single one of these couples?
Oh, that is so easy. I would look them dead in the eyes, lean forward, and ask, "Why do you fundamentally believe that a halfway house, or literally the exact second someone steps out of a prison release door into a parking lot, is the best time to make a permanent, lifelong, legally binding decision?"
Yes. It is the most baffling psychological phenomenon.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Why is the default reaction to obtaining freedom instantly locking yourself into a high-stakes marriage? The ink on their release papers isn't even dry. They haven't even adjusted to the sensory input of not being incarcerated, and they're like, let's blend our families, sign a mortgage, and merge our entire existences.
Because it's the pressure cooker environment of incarceration. When someone is behind bars, the relationship exists purely in a state of suspended limerence.
Limerence. Big word for a Thursday.
Well, limerence is that obsessive, infatuated early stage of love, right? But normally it fades when you have to deal with the reality of, doing laundry and paying bills. But when one person is in a cell, you don't have reality.
Right, you just have the fantasy.
Exactly. You only have phone calls and letters. You build these massive, elaborate fantasy lives. So when they finally get out, the partner on the outside is desperate to instantly materialize the fantasy they've been obsessing over for 3 years.
That makes so much sense. They're trying to cash a check that reality hasn't funded yet. So putting on your counselor hat, who do you think needs the most intensive therapy out of everyone we saw this week?
Oh, this is tough because the bar is literally in the Earth's core.
It really is. I honestly have to go with Brady and Kirsten. And hear me out, because I know you disagree.
I violently disagree, but go ahead.
Okay, I am a hopeful romantic at my core, and part of me genuinely wants them to work. Kirsten genuinely wants this beautiful, harmonious, blended family. She wants her kids, Riot and Phoenix and his twins, Hunter and Remington, to all be sitting around a big farmhouse table laughing and sharing a meal. But they desperately need therapy because they are trying to build this house without laying a foundation, and they're communicating in two completely incompatible languages.
Incompatible is putting it mildly.
Right. Kirsten speaking, let's process our trauma together in real time, right now, immediately, and Brady is speaking. I just got out of an environment where I had zero control, and now I expect absolute, unquestioning submission to regain my sense of manhood. It is a catastrophic collision of needs.
You're not wrong about their dynamic, but I have to disagree on who needs the most therapy. It is Damon. Hands down, no contest, it is Damon.
Oh, Damon is a mess, but is he more of a mess than Brady demanding a submissive wife?
Yes. Because Brady, as toxic as his demands are, is at least operating in reality. He knows he has one girlfriend. Damon needs intensive, long-term therapy just to understand the basic developmental concept of object permanence.
Object permanence, like a baby.
Exactly like a baby. He literally operates like a toddler playing peekaboo. He fundamentally believes that if he isn't looking directly at Bonita, she simply ceases to exist in the physical world.
So
He doesn't comprehend that his actions have ripples outside of his immediate line of sight. He honestly believed he could have two entire separate long-term relationships, fake a prison release date to manipulate the timeline, and that these two women who live in the same geographic universe would just never, ever cross paths. The level of narcissistic compartmentalization required to think you can pull that off is staggering.
the audacity is truly breathtaking. He thinks he's the director of a movie, and everyone else are just background extras who power down when he yells cut. So what is the biggest communication issue you notice across the board with this cast? Because none of them seem to know how to use their words.
Oh, it's the absolute stubborn refusal to tell the truth until they are literally physically cornered by reality. It is the mechanism of trickle truth.
Trickle to truth, yeah.
None of them volunteer information proactively. They hold on to their secrets like currency, and they wait until a pop-up visit happens, or a secret second girlfriend pulls up to a tea party, or someone finds bank statements to finally say, oh yeah, I guess I should mention
my other fiance. It's so true. They only give exactly as much truth as the immediate evidence demands. If you show them a text message, they admit to the text message, but they won't admit to the phone call that happened right after.
Exactly.
Okay, last counselor question. What is the one piece of advice you would give, knowing full well they will completely ignore it and ruin their lives anyway?
I would look Charlie straight in his self-proclaimed Hollywood red face, and I would say, do not, under any circumstances, give Hillary a piece of foot jewelry as an engagement ring in the parking lot of a correctional facility.
And he would absolutely ignore you.
He would adjust the collar of his fur coat, call me a hater who doesn't understand true romance, and say, you don't understand, I'm unconventional, I'm Hollywood, the toe ring represents our unique bond.
He would. He would think you were just jealous of his vision. Which perfectly brings us to our favorite way to analyze this cast's behavior. Red flag bingo.
Pull out your mental bingo cards, Snark Squad. You know the squares we were playing with this season. The classics. We've got, I can change them. Nobody understands our love. This time will be different. My family has concerns. We need to start over. And the ultimate heavy hitter square.
Yeah, as a secret.
Yes, I have a secret.
Let's check off the squares for this week, because we hit a blackout bingo in the first 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Let's start with I have a secret. That is Charlie all day, every day. He is hiding a $200,000 insurance settlement from the woman he is about to propose to.
200 grand.
200 grand. And he justifies it by saying he's hiding it to make sure she loves him for him and not for the money.
Which is such a twisted, manipulative logic, because nothing builds a solid, enduring foundation of mutual trust, quite like hiding $250,000 while simultaneously presenting her with a toe ring. The psychology of this is fascinating, though. It's a loyalty test. People who demand these extreme loyalty tests usually have deep-seated insecurities, and they create these artificial hurdles for their partner to jump over. If you can love me when I pretend to be broke, then you pass. But the paradox is, once she finds out you lied, the trust is broken anyway. You failed your own test.
Exactly. You're literally starting the marriage with a massive deception. Okay, next square. My family has concerns. We had a double hit on this one. First, we have Daya's mom and her sister, Claudia, literally warning Cyrus and keeping him under a microscope.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Felicia's cousins, Kay and Regina, who didn't just express concerns, they pulled up to Houston with her to confront Rich in person.
Felicia's family doesn't just have concerns, they have a tactical deployment strategy. They are a strike team. They don't just sit at the kitchen table and worry, they cross state lines.
They really do. And finally, I can change them. This one breaks my heart a little, but it's Kirsten. She genuinely believes she can just march over to Corey's house, Brady's ex, and the mother of his children, and magically fix their deeply broken co-parenting relationship for him. She thinks she can change years of history, addiction trauma, and resentment with a polite conversation and good intentions.
It is the ultimate savior complex. She thinks she has the magic touch that will heal a decade of wounds she didn't even inflict. We are going to get deep into that disaster shortly. But babes, enough about our imaginary counseling careers. Let's get into the absolute meat of this week's chaos.
Yes, let's go.
Where love is powerful, decisions are highly questionable, and every single conversation somehow becomes a psychological plot twist.
Let's start with the ghosting heard around the world. We have to talk about Felicia and Rich and the absolute power play of the pop-up.
The Houston stakeout, I was watching this through my fingers. I was so stressed.
Okay, let's unpack the dynamic here. Felicia is understandably exhausted by the ghosting, right? So she decides she is going to take back the power. She grabs her manager, Frankie.
Wait, can we pause on that?
I know, I am obsessed with the fact that she has a manager. Like, we all need a Frankie in our lives.
I want a manager for my daily life. Just someone to mediate my grocery store disputes.
Seriously. So she grabs Frankie and her cousins, Kay and Regina. They pile into a car and drive all the way to Houston for a surprise pop-up confrontation.
Here's where I have to pause and ask the fundamental question that haunts this entire show. Did nobody see the red flags? Did nobody look at this situation and see the massive, glaring warning signs when this man literally evaporated into thin air after the New Orleans crawfish boil?
Poof, gone.
The man ceased to exist digitally and physically. Why are we driving to Houston? Why are we crossing state lines for a man who lacks the basic respect to send a text message?
Because, bestie, you have to understand the sunk cost fallacy. She needs answers. She has been talking to this man, investing emotional energy into this man for 6 years.
6 years is a long time to ignore a red flag.
It is. She built this profound connection while he was in a vulnerable place, and now she feels like he painted this entire fake masterpiece of a life for her. And she needs to see if the paint was just cheap watercolors. Her cousin Kay even diagnoses the situation perfectly on the car ride. She's like, that whole picture he painted is going to be completely different.
Kay knew.
Kay knew from the jump. And Kay met him to vet him for Felicia, checked his vibe, and was immediately like, nah, the math ain't math and this man is a fraud.
Kay is the pragmatic, grounded hero we all need in our corner. So they get to Houston. And they don't just knock on his door. They do a full tactical stakeout of his house. They sit in the car, windows crack, analyzing the movement in the driveway, trying to deduce if he's in there. When that fails, they go to the gym he supposedly trains at. They are literally hunting this man down across a major metropolitan area.
And when they finally locate him, oh my gosh, the body language. You could write the thesis on Rich's body language in that moment. The look on his face wasn't guilt, it was fury.
He was livid. His first reaction isn't the romantic movie trope of, oh, my love, you found me, I've missed you. It's, she brought the whole gang to pop up on me.
Yep, completely defensive.
He immediately goes on the offensive. He says, don't do that. We're not doing that. He is instantly trying to establish dominance and control the perimeter because he is caught off guard.
Okay, but let's critically examine his excuse for the ghosting.
Yeah.
Because this is a heavy, intense moment that requires nuance, right?
Definitely.
He claims he was in a Montgomery County, Texas jail for 6 days. He says he was pulled over for a traffic stop, and he explicitly calls it driving while black. He says they searched the car, found a few grams of weed, and held him for almost a week with no bail. He described it as a degrading power play by the police to teach him a lesson and strip him of his dignity.
And we have to be very clear here. If that is exactly how it happened, that is a profoundly traumatic systemic nightmare. We know those realities exist, and the dehumanization of that experience is valid and real.
Very real.
But, and this is the crucial part of analyzing their relationship dynamic, experiencing a systemic trauma does not give you a blank check to emotionally abuse or neglect your partner.
Boom, exactly.
In the context of his relationship with Felicia, 6 days in jail does not mathematically equate to weeks of complete radio silence after you get out, or the bizarre, secretive behavior surrounding his divorce. He is using a very real trauma as a shield to deflect from his relational accountability.
That is exactly it. He is weaponizing a real issue to avoid a personal conversation. Felicia is sympathetic to the jail situation. You can see her soften for a second, but she is smart. She immediately pivots back to the foundational issue, the divorce papers.
Show me the paperwork, Rich.
Right. She demands to know if he is actually legally divorced from his ex-wife. She's standing her ground and saying, I need proof. I feel like you've been lying to me this entire time.
And his response to the divorce question is a masterclass in avoidant attachment. It is the most classic deflector language I have ever analyzed.
Oh, completely.
He admits the divorce from his ex-wife took a massive emotional toll on him. He says that when he opens up to people, they use his vulnerability against him. He literally looks at the camera and admits, I'm a deflector. He says he runs when things get hard.
He gets uncomfortable with the intimacy of accountability, and his instinct is to physically walk away. But then, right in the middle of this tense standoff, we get the biggest bombshell of this entire storyline.
I am still recovering from this.
Felicia drops this piece of information that completely recontextualizes their entire 6-year dynamic. She reveals that despite talking for 6 years, despite the emotional intensity, she hasn't even slept with him yet.
I gasped. I was holding my highball and audibly gasped.
She said it with her whole chest. She said, I didn't screw him. I told him I wasn't ready. And her cousin Kay, sitting right there, does a double take like, wait, pause, what? Are you serious?
I was just as shocked as Kay. Think about the psychological weight of that. This woman drove across state lines, brought her entire family for a high-stakes confrontation, demands absolute loyalty, and they haven't even consummated the relationship.
Wild.
But honestly, when I recovered from the shock, I deeply respected it. She is holding her boundaries with an iron grip.
Yeah.
She didn't let the fantasy of the 6 years override her physical boundaries in the present.
She absolutely is. She is maintaining her agency. And then she drops this iconic, chilling line. She says, Sicilians do not tolerate lying to their face. You come with that, they have zero tolerance. If they find out you lie, you have to suffer God's curses.
Hang that quote in the Louvre immediately. Suffer God's curses. That is the kind of cinematic, dramatic dialogue that writers spend years trying to craft, and she just drops it in a Houston parking lot.
Suffer God's curses. It's so good.
Rich is standing there, shifting his weight, probably realizing he is dealing with a level of intensity and familial loyalty he is completely unequipped to manipulate.
He really isn't equipped for it. He tries to salvage it by saying he still has feelings for her, but he's starting to see she doesn't trust him. And it's like, dude, read the room. Of course she doesn't trust you.
Why would she?
Trust is built on consistency and transparency. You ghosted her after a crawfish boil, went off the grid, and haven't produced your divorce papers. Trust isn't a given, it's earned, and you have negative currency right now.
The bar for his behavior is in hell, and Rich brought an excavator to dig deeper. But let's move from the anxiety of the Houston stakeout over to the pure, unadulterated lunacy of the prison parking lot. Because we need to talk about Hollywood Red and the free-range chicken.
Charlie and Hillary. Oh, my head is spinning. Where do we even begin to unpack the layers of what is happening here?
Let's begin with the physical presentation, because the aesthetic choices tell you everything you need to know about the psychology of control. Charlie is a 55-year-old man. He is a former Department of Corrections boss. He used to be her actual boss in the prison system, which is a massive power imbalance to begin with. And he rolls up to pick her up wearing a full-length fur coat.
A fur coat, his long hair completely down and flowing in the wind, and he has brought a carefully curated care package. And what is in this package? Boots, pantyhose, and a heart-shaped box of chocolates.
Don't forget the toe ring.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Now, I have to admit, I swooned for about 3 seconds. I know it's unhinged, but there's a bit of irony where I'm like, okay, he is really intensely dedicated to his specific vision of romance. He wants her to feel like a star.
See, this is where your hopeful romantic side is blinding you to the mechanism at play. It is lunacy.
I know.
He is not treating her like a partner. He is treating her like a literal life-size paper doll. It's the Pygmalion complex. He's got the pantyhose. He's got the specific boots. He wants to dress her up to fit his aesthetic. He doesn't care what she might want to wear. He wants her to look like the woman on his arm. And he is planning to propose with a toe ring.
A toe ring. I cannot get past the toe ring.
A toe ring in a prison parking lot. Because, in his own words, not every day someone gets a toe ring as an engagement, but that's me. I'm unconventional. I'm Hollywood Red.
The fact that he unironically calls himself Hollywood Red
Wow.
sends me into orbit. And he's planning to write a book about their love story called Love Between the Bars, which honestly is a very catchy title. I'd absolutely buy it at an airport bookstore just to see the train wreck.
You absolutely would, and so would I. But the toe ring, as bizarre as it is, isn't even the core issue here. The core issue is the massive, life-altering financial secret he is keeping from her. This man has a $200,000 insurance settlement just sitting in a bank account, and he explicitly refuses to tell her.
So sneaky.
Why? Because he wants to make sure she loves him for him and not the money.
Which is such a toxic, manipulative way to start a marriage.
Yeah.
You don't test your partner's devotion by hiding $250,000 while you simultaneously put a piece of jewelry on their foot. It's financial control masked as a romantic test.
Exactly. It's a game he's playing where only he knows the rules. And meanwhile, let's look at Hillary's reality. She just did 3 years for robbery and trafficking. The very second she steps out of those prison doors, what is her immediate psychological need? She is thrilled, she hugs him, and then she immediately, frantically starts begging strangers in the parking lot for a cigarette.
She is literally wandering around the parking lot, completely ignoring his grand romantic setup, going, "Excuse me, do you have a cigarette? Do you have a cigarette?" She is in a state of high anxiety, and Charlie is just standing there in his fur coat, completely oblivious to her actual needs.
This is where the hypocrisy and the deep-seated control issues rear their ugly heads. Charlie absolutely hates smoking. He is rigid about it. He says it's against his religion, and it breaks his concept of sobriety. But Hillary looks at him and says, smoking cigarettes is a hell of a lot better than doing meth.
Which, from a harm reduction standpoint, is an incredibly valid point, Hillary.
Very valid. She is trying to self-soothe in a moment of massive sensory overload. But Charlie doesn't see it as harm reduction. He sees it as defiance. And the language he uses in his confessional to describe her, babes, the red flags were slapping me across the face so hard I have a concussion.
Oh, please read the exact quote. Read the quote because it chilled me to my bone.
Okay, he sits back and he says, I don't want to be the type to tell Hillary what she can and cannot do. I'm Larry, free range, like a free range chicken. She just goes wherever she wants, but eventually the cage is going to come and it's time to grow up.
Eventually the cage is going to come.
What in the psychological thriller is that? Let's unpack the mechanism of that metaphor. You are marrying a woman who just spent 3 grueling years literally locked in a cage, stripped of her autonomy, and your metaphor for marriage is putting her in another cage.
It's sick.
You are using the exact trauma she just survived to describe how you're going to control her behavior once you get her home.
It's terrifying. It is the Madonna horror complex mixed with the Warden complex.
Whoa.
He wants this shiny, perfect, pantyhose-wearing doll who reflects his Hollywood Red persona, but Hillary is a real, flawed, traumatized human being who just survived 3 years of incarceration and desperately wants a damn cigarette. The disconnect between his fantasy and her reality is a chasm.
He thinks dressing her up in boots and a fur coat is giving her a fairy tale, but he's actually just building a different kind of prison for her, one where he holds all the keys and all the money. I cannot stand Hollywood Red.
It's definitely going to explode, and the collateral damage will be massive. But speaking of explosions, let's seamlessly transition over to a different flavor of delusion. This brings us to the Brady, Kirsten, and Corey saga. This is a masterclass in why good intentions do not override boundaries.
Oh, Kirsten. Sweet, misguided, violently boundary-stomping Kirsten.
Okay, look, I'm going to try to defend her a tiny bit here, at least her psychology. Kirsten decides she is going to go over to Corey's house. Now, Corey is Brady's ex-fiancée and the mother of his twins, Hunter and Remington. Kirsten goes over there, uninvited, to try and fix their deeply fractured co-parenting dynamic.
She went over there to play savior. She went over there to be the hero in a story that isn't hers.
She did, but her heart was in the right place. She wants a blended family. She has her own kids, Riot and Phoenix. She literally sat down, stringing beads together, and made Brady a cute little bracelet with all their initials on it. P for Phoenix, R for Riot. P for Brady.
The math ain't mathin' on the bracelet either. She couldn't even get the initials right on her own fantasy.
Whatever, the sentiment was sweet. She just wants everyone to get along. She wants the aesthetic of a big, happy family having Sunday dinners.
But you cannot force healing, especially when you aren't the one who caused the trauma. You cannot treat someone else's trauma like a leaky faucet that you can just tighten with a wrench. Corey is sitting in her own living room and she feels completely disrespected, and rightly so. Kirsten walks into her safe space and starts dictating how Corey should handle her children's relationship with a man who has caused them profound pain.
And Curry is not having it. She lays out the real, agonizing history. She points out that Brady was absent during the darkest days of his addiction. She said the grandparents had to keep the kids a lot to protect them, and when Brady was around, he was locked in a bathroom for hours. Those kids have deep, unresolved trauma. They remember what it felt like when he wasn't safe.
Exactly. And now Brady is out, and he is on Suboxone, which Corey pointedly refers to as synthetic heroin. And let's be impartial and clear here. Medically, Suboxone is a very common, highly effective, and often necessary tool for treating opioid addiction. It saves lives.
Right, absolutely.
But Corey's perspective isn't medical, it's emotional, and it's colored by years of broken trust and lies. She says, I know it keeps him from doing meth, but it's like trading one addiction for another. She doesn't trust his baseline stability because she's seen him relapse before.
And Corey rightly asserts her dominance as the primary caregiver. She points out, I've been taking care of these kids for the last 10 years by myself, day in and day out. Nobody is going to come into my house and tell me what I can and can't do with my children. Corey deeply resents Kirsten acting like the savior when Brady hasn't put in an ounce of the actual work himself.
Because Brady needs to earn his kids' trust through consistent, boring, everyday actions. Kirsten cannot earn it for him with a beaded bracelet. So Kirsten leaves this tense meeting, goes back to the halfway house, and decides to tell Brady about what she did. And how does Brady react to his girlfriend trying to fix his life?
Oh, he flips out. He completely loses it on her. The mask slips completely. He is furious that she went over there. He says she completely disrespected his authority and handled something he should have handled himself, even though he hasn't made any move to handle it.
Right, like he was ever going to do it.
Exactly. And then, in the heat of his anger, he drops the ugliest, most revealing line of the entire episode. He looks at her and says, a wife is supposed to submit to her husband.
I physically cringed. My soul left my body.
I wanted to reach through the screen, grab Kirsten by the shoulders, and pull her out of that halfway house immediately.
Let's analyze the use of the word submit here. The man does not have a job. He is living in a state-mandated halfway house. He has not repaired the profound damage he caused to his relationship with his children. Yet his first instinct when he feels emasculated is to demand submission from the woman who is financially and emotionally supporting his transition back into society. It is peak, fragile, toxic masculinity. He wants the authority of a 1950s patriarch without providing any of the stability.
It's disgusting. But, and this pains me to say, because I want to root for her, you have to admit that Kirsten isn't totally innocent in her motives here. Her savior complex has an incredibly selfish underbelly.
Thank you. Finally. Let's pull up the transcript on Kirsten's true, unfiltered motivations for wanting this blended family so desperately. She literally says on camera, in a confessional, in 2 years, I hope to be able to dump the kids off on Brady so me and Corey can go take, like, girls' trips.
The actual scream I let out when she said that, she doesn't want a deeply bonded, healthy co-parenting relationship. She wants a free babysitter so she can go to Cabo and drink margaritas with his baby mama.
She wants to dump the kids off on the man who is currently screaming at her to submit. The delusion is multi-layered and staggering. This relationship is a powder keg. Brady's intense desire for a submissive wife to cater to his ego is going to violently collide with Kirsten's take charge, boundary crossing, I'm going to fix everything so I can go on vacation attitude.
It is going to be spectacular, fiery reality TV, but it is going to be terrible for their actual real lives. Okay, let's take a deep breath, recalibrate, because this next situation requires all of our intellectual and emotional energy. We're entering the realm of magical thinking. Damon, Bonita, and Gigi.
The goddess. The absolute catastrophe of the Tea Party.
Damon's master plan is one of the most foolish, ill-conceived things I have ever witnessed a human being attempt. He genuinely thinks he can have a polite, rational conversation with both of his women, Bonita and Gigi, at a nice dinner to just clear the air.
Bless his heart.
He thinks he can sit them down over some appetizers and essentially say, so, I love you both, I lied to both of you, but let's just work this out like adults.
He wants to introduce Gigi to Bonita and expects them to just shake hands, acknowledge his irresistible charm, and agree to a timeshare arrangement. He says, and I quote, I'm trying to introduce him to a P of leadership. I don't even know what that means. I don't think he knows what that means.
He definitely does not.
But he truly believes he is completely in control of this narrative. It's the psychology of a con man who starts believing his own cons.
He is so completely out of control, and he has no idea, because he doesn't realize that while he is playing checkers, Bonita's parents are funding an absolute high-level espionage operation.
Exaseo.
They didn't just give her a pep talk, they literally bought her a car so she could follow him undetected. She knows he's lying. She knows he faked his release date to buy himself time. She has the receipts, and she is fully prepared for war.
Bonita is not coming to a nice dinner to negotiate. Bonita is coming to collect a soul.
So they don't even make it to the dinner. The confrontation happens at the tea party. Gigi and Bonita finally come face to face. Damon brings Gigi over, thinking he's about to facilitate a diplomatic summit, and Bonita is just waiting there, vibrating with justified rage.
The tension was so thick it was suffocating. Bonita's looking at him like, who is this? And Damon is fumbling, stuttering, trying to act smooth and act like this is just a minor scheduling error. And then the explosion.
Drinks are thrown. The tea party is officially ruined. The cucumber sandwiches never stood a chance. Bonita, in Damon's own words, goes Super Saiyan and Incredible Hulk. She completely loses it, and honestly, can you blame her for a single second?
Not at all.
She was his ride or die for 13 months, putting money on his books, taking care of their daughter Dior alone, and the second he gets out, he brings another woman to her face and expects her to be cool with it.
And Damon's reaction to her explosion is what truly kills me. He completely loses control of the narrative, and he has the absolute unmitigated audacity to act surprised.
He really does.
He acts like they're the ones being unreasonable. He acts like they ruined his nice evening. He's standing there wiping whatever drink off his shirt, looking bewildered. Like, why would you go off on me like that? I just wanted to have a conversation.
He literally says, I didn't even get a chance to explain what happened. Sir, there is no explanation. What is the explanation? Sorry, I faked my release date so I could sleep with both of you without you knowing. You had 2 secret girlfriends and thought you could merge them like a corporate acquisition? You cannot hostile take over human beings.
It is peak reality TV delusion. He genuinely, deep down in his core, thought his charisma was strong enough to override the anger of 2 women who have been systematically lied to for over a year. He thinks a smile and some smooth talk erases 13 months of betrayal.
It's wild.
And the fact that Bonita's parents are just off-screen somewhere, probably polishing that spy car and nodding in approval, makes it 10 times better.
I am Team Bonita. I am Team Gigi. I am profoundly Team Bonita's parents. Damon can go kick rocks. Okay, let's hit a few of the other couples really quickly because the math ain't mathin' anywhere in this network.
Yes, let's do a rapid-fire check-in. First up, the couple that gave us the episode title, Kaylee and Michael.
This was intense and actually quite sad. Michael discovers all these hidden accounts and secret stock market spending by Kaylee. He is looking at the finances, running the numbers, and he literally says the math ain't mathin'. He confronts her, accusing her of financial betrayal, hiding mounting debt, and secretly playing the stock market with their money.
And the fallout is massive. It's not just a fight. It fractures the entire household. He ends up kicking Kaylee's mom out of the house, and they have 4 kids just caught in the crossfire of this massive financial argument. It is a perfect example of how financial infidelity can be just as destructive as physical infidelity. When the baseline trust is gone over money and survival, it is nearly impossible to get back.
Totally. Next up, Zay and Carrington.
Oof. Carrington is still visibly reeling from the absolute bombshell Zay's sister dropped on her. She found out that Zay used the money she sent him. She worked hard for drugs, not for whatever essential items he claimed he was using it for. She is seriously weighing ending the entire relationship over the secrets, and she should.
It's the ultimate betrayal of her support. She thought she was helping him survive, and she was actually funding his self-destruction. And finally, Daya and Cyrus.
The external pressure on this couple is suffocating them. Daya's ex-boyfriend, Jaden, who ironically was Cyrus's old cellmate because the dating pool in this town is apparently a puddle, is actively threatening them. And meanwhile, Daya's family is going on the offensive. Her sister Claudia put Cyrus on strict notice, basically saying, "We are watching your every move, and if you mess up, we will know."
It's just chaos radiating in every single direction. Nobody has peace. Which brings us perfectly to our favorite part of our recap. It's time to debate. Let's start by figuring out who needs a massive wake-up call.
Okay, if you had to look at this entire sprawling cast of characters and choose the one single person who is living in the deepest, darkest, most impenetrable delusion, who are you picking?
I'm going to start, and I am defending Kirsten as the winner of this category.
Really? Kirsten over Damon.
Yes, listen. She needs a massive, immediate reality check. I know I said her intentions are good, but she is completely delusional about the fundamental mechanics of how a blended family works. She thinks you could just force integration overnight with a cute craft store bracelet and an unannounced pop-up visit to the ex's house.
She thinks she's starring in a Hallmark movie, but she's actually on Love After Lockup. She is misreading the genre of her own life.
Exactly. What she's completely missing is that Brady needs to do the work. He has to earn his kid's trust himself. She cannot do the emotional heavy lifting for him. You cannot outsource accountability.
That's a great point.
If she continues down this path of trying to force Corey into submission, she is going to alienate Corey completely, push those traumatized kids further away, and end up trapped in a house with a husband who just yells at her to submit to his authority. And the tragedy is, she would ignore this advice completely because she is so hyperfixated on her vision of Cabo Girls trips.
That is a very solid psychological read. But I am going to counter your Kirsten with the true, undisputed king of delusion, Damon.
Let's hear the closing argument against Damon.
Damon needs a reality check because he fundamentally misunderstands human nature at a baseline level. He thought he could sit two women down, who rightfully hate his guts and have been manipulated by him, and have a civilized, rational, corporate-style dinner about sharing his time.
He really thought he was going to be the objective mediator in his own cheating scandal.
He did. What he's missing is basic empathy. He cannot fathom that these women have internal lives, feelings, and boundaries that exist outside of his desires. They are just NPCs in his video game. And he would ignore any advice to pick just one woman, not because he loves them both, but because he thinks he is inherently entitled to both.
Wow.
He cannot change because he doesn't think his system is broken. He just thinks the women malfunctioned at the tea party. He will be running this exact same scam when he's Charlie's age.
Oh, that is a terrifying mental image. Damon in a fur coat 30 years from now trying to give two different women toe rings at a Dave & Buster's.
Don't give him ideas. The universe can't handle it.
Speaking of the toe ring, let's debate the biggest romantic gesture of the episode. We are analyzing Charlie's prison parking lot makeover and the subsequent toe ring proposal. Is it love or is it lunacy?
Lunacy. Complete, utter, terrifying lunacy. There is no love in that interaction.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for just 1 second, just to explore the other side. Is it not just a little bit sweet that he wanted her to feel fabulous immediately upon release? He brought her expensive chocolates. He brought her a change of clothes so she wouldn't have to stay in her state-issued prison sweats. He wanted her to have a moment of glamour. He wanted her to feel like a star.
Bestie, no. I am shutting this down immediately. It is not romantic. It is entirely self-serving. He didn't bring her clothes that she picked out from a catalog. He didn't bring her favorite sweatpants. He brought her clothes that fit his aesthetic of Hollywood red. He dressed her like a prop for his movie.
Okay, the sheer pantyhose in a hot parking lot was a lot to process.
It's unhinged. It's uncomfortable. And the toe ring. It's insulting. You are a 55-year-old man. You are hiding 200 grand in a secret bank account. And you are comparing this grown woman to a free-range chicken that is eventually going to be put in a cage. This isn't building a future. This is creating a hostage situation masked by cheap chocolate. He is systematically stripping her of her agency the second the state gives it back to her.
When you lay it out like that, yeah, it's undeniable lunacy. The cage comment is the massive, undeniable red flag that eclipses everything else. He wants a shiny toy, not an equal partner.
Exactly. And now let's pivot and talk about the people who actually have some sense on this show, the unsung heroes. Let's rank the friends and family members who are doing the Lord's work this season, trying to save these people from themselves.
Yes, let's start with the best advice given. This award has to go to Felicia's cousin, Kay.
100%. Kay is a visionary. She immediately recognized that the New Orleans ghosting was a massive red flag. She didn't buy the he was in jail excuse as a valid reason for a total blackout in communication before and after the incident. She looked Felicia right in the eye in that car and said, that picture he painted for you is going to be completely different. She saw the facade.
Kay is the pragmatic queen we all need in our corner.
Oh?
Okay, most supportive person.
I am happily giving this to Bonita's parents. They didn't just give her emotional support, they funded a covert operation. They literally bought her a car to follow him. That is next level, ride or die parenting. They didn't say, oh, honey, just talk to him. They said, you think he's lying? Here are the keys to a sedan. Go find out the truth.
They are the financial backers of the Snark Squad. Okay, person who saw the red flags first.
This goes to Daya's sister, Claudia. She has been locking down on Cyrus since day one. She isn't swayed by the romance or the poetry. She is strictly looking at the logistics of this man moving into her sister's fragile life and dealing with her kids. She is the ultimate protector, and she does not blink.
And finally, person who made things worse. The chaotic neutral.
Oh, Kirsten. Without a doubt, it is Kirsten.
Kirsten. She took a fragile, tentative, barely holding on piece between Brady and Corey and absolutely shattered it by marching over there to play amateur counselor. She made things infinitely worse for Brady, she triggered Corey, and honestly, she made things worse for herself.
She poked a sleeping bear with a stick, and now she's shocked that the bear is roaring and demanding submission.
Okay, before we wrap up, we have to put our reality TV producer hats on. What is your biggest prediction for next week's episode? Where is this train heading?
My biggest prediction is that Charlie's $200,000 secret comes out way sooner than he plans, and it's going to blow up in his face. Hillary is going to instantly reevaluate that toe ring and the pantyhose. She's going to realize he's been testing her. She's going to realize he holds all the financial power, and she is going to flip.
Well, I hope she takes the toe ring, pawns it, and uses the cash to buy a massive carton of cigarettes, just to spite him.
Honestly, good for her. Self-care. What is your prediction for the couple most likely to explode next week?
Brady and Kirsten, hands down. That halfway house argument was just the coming attractions. Brady's intense, fragile desire for a submissive 1950s wife is going to violently, spectacularly collide with Kirsten's take charge, I'm going to fix everything whether you like it or not attitude. The minute he actually gets home and tries to tell her what to do in her own house, it is going to become a war zone over who holds the power.
The clash of the egos, truly. Okay, what about the biggest surprise? What's the twist we aren't seeing?
My biggest surprise prediction, I think Rich might actually produce real, legally binding divorce papers for Felicia.
No, you actually think he has them.
I do. I think he is a deflector and an absolute mess of a communicator, but I think he is actually divorced. I think the surprise will be that the papers exist, but they reveal some other terrible financial secret that he's been hiding. Like, yes, he's divorced, but he owes $500,000 in alimony, or she took the house.
Ooh, that's a very good read. Deflecting from a bigger issue. Okay, I have one completely chaotic theory that somehow feels highly plausible in the logic of the Love After Lockup universe.
Laid it on me. Give me the chaos.
Damon, in a desperate, narcissistic attempt to fix the catastrophic Tea Party disaster and regain control of his narrative, tries to propose to both Bonita and Gigi at the exact same time.
Oh my gosh, yes. I can see it.
Think about the psychology. His delusion is so deep, he thinks a ring fixes everything. It's the ultimate reset button. He is going to buy 2 cheap rings, call them back to a neutral location like a Dave & Buster's, and try to propose a polyamorous marriage right by the skee-ball machines.
And Bonita will go Super Saiyan Part 2 and throw a basketball at his head.
It is the only logical conclusion to a storyline. He cannot pick one, so he will try to trap both.
I am manifesting this chaotic theory into the universe right now.
Wow. Babes, this show gave us everything this week. It gave us toe rings, it gave us Tea Party brawls, it gave us the phrase Hollywood Red, it gave us Sicilian curses. We are truly deeply blessed to witness this. We are exhausted, we need a nap, but we are blessed.
Which brings us to the end of our catching up today. But before we go, we need to leave you with something to think about. We watch this show, we laugh, we analyze their mistakes, but you have to wonder, what happens when the cameras pack up and leave? These people are performing for the producers right now. They are leaning into the drama for airtime. But the trauma they're inflicting on each other, and especially on those kids, that doesn't yell cut. That trauma is going to echo long after the season finale. It's a wild thing to think about as we sip our mocktails.
It really is. The observer effect changes their behavior, but the damage is permanent.
So we need to hear from you. Drop into our comments, our DMs, everywhere. Which couple are you actually rooting for, if any of them are even redeemable?
And what red flag did you notice first this week? Was it the fur coat? Was it the ghosting? Was it the chilling use of the word submit? Let us know what made you scream at your TV.
And most importantly, if you could sit in that uncomfortable relationship counselor chair, what advice would you give one of these couples before they completely ruin their lives?
Tell us who you're counseling, because I need to know your strategies for dealing with this level of delusion.
We have to thank the YouTube sailors one more time. Thank you for keeping the community fed, for supporting the fandom, and for making sure we never miss a single moment of this beautiful disaster.
You are doing the Lord's work.
Remind everyone to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this show with another reality TV-loving babe who needs someone to spiral with.
And remember, if your man calls you a free-range chicken and tells you the cage is coming, do not walk. Run in the opposite direction.
Run fast. And don't wear pantyhose while you do it. Stay hopeful, stay chaotic, and we'll see you on the snark side.